The legal troubles for Donald Trump don't seem to be ending, and I have a feeling it'll continue at least till the 2024 presidential elections.
I mean, the way things have been going, absolutely, I agree with you. Now, the case against Donald Trump for allegedly mishandling the U.S. classified documents, that has widened further. Prosecutors have leveled additional charges against the former president.
Exactly. Now, this is yet another setback for Trump, who is among the Republican frontrunners in the presidential elections race, which is due in 2024. Now, the three new federal charges were leveled by the prosecutors on Thursday. These include an additional count of willful retention of secret documents and 2 counts of obstructing the ongoing investigation in the case. Trump's personal aide, Walter Notta, who is already a defendant in the case, has also been charged with 2 counts of obstruction. Meanwhile, an employee at Trump's Mar-a-Lago house has also been slapped with federal charges.
Now it's Trump, Notta and maintenance worker Carlos de Oliveira have been accused of evading officials looking for the documents by conspiring to delete the surveillance footage at Mar-a-Lago.
Special counsel Jack Smith brought charge of willful retention against Trump by citing one of his interviews at his New Jersey golf resort. Smith said that Trump could be heard about bragging about a plan of attack against another country. Meanwhile, Oliveira was charged on the basis of a documented conversation he had with another employee in which he was allegedly talking about deleting a footage from Mar-a-Lago's camera server.
Now, the new charges, this Shivan adds about 37 criminal counts that Trump already faces in the case. The former U.S. president has dismissed the charges, of course, describing them as another attempt by the Biden administration to score political gains.
Moreover, the new charges were leveled on the same day when Trump's lawyers met with prosecutors over his possible indictment in a separate case in which he has been accused of attempting to overturn the result of the 2020 presidential election.
Now, as I said, legal trouble just continues to mount for Trump. Earlier, Trump had pleaded not guilty to the criminal charges, which accused him of not returning the sensitive government records, which he took after leaving the White House.
All right, for more on this, we are being joined by Michael Tracy, who's a journalist from New York. Welcome to the broadcast, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you back with us. Michael, now fresh charges against Trump. Now it's alleged that he attempted to obstruct the investigation of the classified documents case by deleting surveillance footage, or he got it done by one of his, one of his workers. Now the charges just seem to be getting worse for him. How much do you feel all this will affect his image as a presidential candidate? Because charges are continuing, but I think that seems to be the larger goal here, in case those are the reasons why the charges are being levied.
Well, it's impossible to say what the ultimate political impact would be, because there is an argument that him being indicted and then indicted all over again continuously is to his benefit, in the sense that it keeps him at the forefront of the national consciousness. It consumes all the media oxygen. But at the same time, it is a bit of a strange concept that a candidate, or anyone really, should welcome being so doggedly pursued by the prosecutorial authorities of the state. It's not something that generally people tend to enjoy or welcome. But yeah, this is just going to continue with Trump at the center of gravity for American politics, just like he's been since 2015. I just happened to get done reading the what's called the superseding indictment that was issued tonight. And my first impression is that they're really piling it on, in the sense that they indicted the maintenance worker, like the head maintenance guy at the Trump property in South Florida. And it almost seems like kind of a statement as to the prosecution's almost like ruthlessness, or their, unswerving resolve to throw everything they have at Trump, to the extent that they're going to ensnare people who probably are not really thought to be significant national security threats, because that's ostensibly the whole impetus for this investigation, that Trump was compromising national security somehow by, unlawfully possessing these classified documents or national security documents, allegedly. But now they're even ensnaring kind of ancillary figures like some maintenance guy who it's hard to believe would have played a central role in any kind of conspiracy. But they're showing how aggressively they're pursuing this.
Right. Well, that being said, Michael and Shivan, as you mentioned as well, Trump's campaign has dismissed these new accusations, of course. They're saying, and I'm quoting here, nothing more than a continued, desperate and flailing attempt by the Biden crime family and their Department of Justice to harass him. Now, do you find any merit in these statements?
Well, that's a bit of political hyperbole, but there is something that's potentially valid at the core of it, which is that we're in an unprecedented situation here where an incumbent president is, whether you like it or not, whether you think Trump should be running or should not be running, or that his presidency was ill-conceived or what have you, the fact remains that the incumbent president's Justice Department, over which he ultimately presides, even if he purports not to be involved in the day-to-day handling of the department's affairs, but nonetheless, the Biden Justice Department is currently engaged in an unprecedentedly expansive array of prosecutions against a former president and his chief political rival for the forthcoming election. Now, the irony there is that when Trump was president, there was lots of hand-wringing and lots of very animated doomsaying about how Trump would be the one who would use the apparatus of the prosecutorial bodies of the government to go after his political enemies like a Hillary Clinton or something. Well, it turns out that technically the reverse has turned out to be true, which is that Trump is the one who's being prosecuted by supposedly somebody who is going to safeguard all our cherished norms as Americans and return to a sense of, quote, normalcy and not, maliciously use state power to target his political foes. And that's what's happening. I mean, to have not just one indictment, but now a superseding indictment, and there are reports now that an additional indictment, as you mentioned at the beginning of the segment, could be imminent around Trump's involvement in the whole January 6th fiasco. I mean, that's a lot of resources that have been dedicated solely for the purpose of prosecuting Donald Trump. And there really is a way in which that can be cast as a fairly ominous or startling upending of certain norms that had governed how presidential administrations treat their predecessors or their successors. That's all now out the window, and we're now in like this kind of raw political battle between rival factions of the American government, and that was spearheaded by the current Democratic administration.
Right. Well, Michael Tracy, thank you so much for joining us on the show with your insights on this.
All right, thanks.